With Steve Bannon on the outs, President Trump is turning to other members of his inner circle for advice. Now, other members being, of course, members of the establishment, the Republican political establishment. For example, his new best friend, Stephen Schwartzman. Now, Stephen Schwartzman is a Wall Street titan. This is Politico. And according to them, he has recently taken on a new informal job. That job being counselor to the president. Now, Politico writes, the CEO of Blackstone Group, who has known Donald Trump for years, has become so close to the president that the two sometimes talk several times a week, covering everything from Chinese trade to tax policy to immigration. Now, here's a good example of that. He mentioned immigration. Well, let's talk about immigration. White House and New York business officials say that Schwartzman had been critical to the Trump keeping the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. Now, that's known as DACA, or that's the Dreamers program, okay? Now, Trump ended up making a decision after a call with the hedge fund billionaire. So basically the call is, Stephen Schwartzman says, hey, DACA is actually pretty good for us. It's pretty good for business. It's good policy, and it might actually make you more popular. And Trump says, okay, I like being popular. I want to win. I want to win. So how do I win, Stephen? Well, you stop listening to Steve Bannon, start listening to us. You start listening to the establishment. Now, DACA, I actually agree with. I think that actually is good policy, and I actually think that it might help him when it comes to popularity. But at the same time, look at who he's listening to. Now, Trump also recently chatted with Schwartzman at Mar-a-Lago about a possible reorganization in the White House, according to two people familiar with the meeting, although they say that the conversation did not include any specific names. That's smart considering how this White House is leaking like a sieve. So, again, now originally Trump wanted to end DACA, so this is where his hypocrisy comes in. In fact, let's go to a speech last year that happened in Phoenix, Arizona. He said, we will immediately terminate President Obama's 2 illegal executive amnesties, in which he defied federal law and the Constitution to give amnesty to approximately 5 million illegal immigrants. Now, one of those amnesties, so-called amnesties, is DACA. Oops. Now, again, I think it's good policy. I support that. But a lot of Trump supporters do not support that. Now, another thing that Trump supporters are not exactly in favor of is the Republican establishment. I know, because I'm also against the Republican establishment. I'm against the establishment, Republican and Democrat. So, now, on that, Politico writes, Schwartzman's growing influence in Trump's circle is welcome news to New York business leaders and moderate Republicans, who want the president to abandon his nationalist positions and embrace a more non-ideological White House amid lagging poll ratings and infighting dominating the West Wing. In private conversations, a number of Trump's friends have told him that he could be more popular and accomplish more if he embraced a moderate, read corporatist, streak and listened to his business friends. Well, there you go. Hey, you know what's popular, Donnie? Oh, what's that? What's popular, Steven? I just want to win. I just want people to like me. Well, you know what's really popular? The establishment. People really like big business. People love the status quo. So why don't you go back to that and then you'll get popular? That's what his business friends are telling him. Hey, everybody loves big business. You know what it turns out? Big business does not pull well with the American people. In fact, 63% of Americans, according to Gallup polling that happened last year, are dissatisfied with the size and influence of major corporations. Major corporations like the Blackstone Group. Oops. Now, the establishment is deeply unpopular. But you know what actually is popular? Progressive positions. Well, let's see where Trump goes. And I doubt it's in that direction. Now, Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, is trying to orchestrate more power for New York business types, particularly National Economic Council Director Gary Cohn, while diminishing the power of chief strategist Steve Bannon, who drives the quote-unquote populist wing of the White House. Now, look, we've talked about Bannon before. We talked about what he really believes. The whole Camp of the Saints nonsense and all of this oh, the immigrants, they're coming to take us over. We got to fight against that. But we, also don't bomb other nations, which, again, he's got some very racist positions, but he actually has some actual populist positions as well, to be fair. I mean, he is anti-free trade. He's also anti-war. Now, in America, the weird thing is we don't have an anti-war party anymore. It used to be the Democrats. I mean, strangely enough, the anti-war progressives, which are the actual Democrats, are agreeing with the far-right nationalists that, hey, maybe we should stop bombing other countries and actually take care of shit here. Now, that's weird. But it's sort of a strange, I wouldn't say alliance, but a strange agreement on ideas. So, again, it's weird. It used to be that being a progressive meant you were anti-war. So, again, it's weird to agree with somebody in the far right that we should stop bombing other countries and stop caring about so much about what happens in other countries while we have some major issues here. So, but again, most Democrats now are no longer those New Deal FDR type Democrats. They're corporate Democrats who end up really loving war and big corporations, kind of like mainstream Republicans. Now, as far as mainstream Republicans in the business wing, the Democratic and Republican establishment, well, they're all about big business, and now so is Donald Trump. In fact, according to Schwartzman in an interview after meeting on Tuesday with Trump and other business leaders, said, quote, "The president is a business person, so he's very comfortable being around business people, and he learns best by talking to people and observing things. I think he looks forward to these things, and he likes being with business people who have run businesses that are bigger than his. It's just a highly supportive environment. Whether it's Gary Cohn or Jared, certainly Steve Mnuchin and Wilbur Ross and Dina Powell, these are all people who've had similar experiences." Now, one executive in regular contact with the West Wing officials said it's encouraging that Trump appears to be embracing more pragmatic allies. There's that word again, pragmatism. We heard that a lot with the Hillary Clinton campaign. Quote, "It seems like he's relying now on non-ideological people like Gary, who have business experience and just know how to execute and get stuff done." Well, what kind of stuff? Well, we know the establishment wants to cut taxes on corporations and for the rich and cut regulation. So you're going to funnel more power and more money to corporate interests. That's the kind of stuff that hurts the working class. That's the kind of stuff that Donald Trump said he was going to fight against. He was going to drain the swamp. Well, it looks like, no, that swamp is not being drained, has not been drained. And he's going to continue the policies of the establishment that has been crushing the working class. Great. And this is from the guy who ran against Goldman Sachs, who railed against the global financial elite. And now he is embracing them after the election. This guy is a liar. He's a fraud. Now, I saw him through him during the campaign. Okay. But a lot of people didn't. A lot of people actually believed that he was going to crush the establishment. So now let's talk a little bit about the power dynamics and how they're playing out. Now, in the White House, we've reported before that Bannon has at times clashed with Gary Cohn and Jared Kushner and has advocated for more strident positions. Cohn's rising influence has already attracted attacks from Bannon allies, including Breitbart. And Kushner has drawn negative attention from different conservative blogs. Again, one of them being Breitbart, which is what Bannon used to run. So several Trump campaign veterans have also lambasted Cohn's influence in the White House. Quote, "He would be an Obama appointee at best," according to one longtime Trump advisor. I'll have to add, again, some of the attacks against Kushner involved calling him a Democrat, a globalist, and a cuck. Very interesting. They do not like Jared Kushner. They do not like the establishment positions of the establishment Republicans. Now, not everything is rosy between Trump and the bankers either. So, again, there's a lot of different power dynamics going on at play. Now, let me explain. Another executive said at the summit last week with CEOs had created some good feelings about the White House. But some of that changed later in the week when Gary Cohn suggested he would support separating investment and retail banking on Wall Street, basically putting in a wall between investment banks and commercial banks, and basically a 21st century Glass-Steagall, which is something that I'm in favor of. Now, the big banks hate that. They hate that idea. They strongly oppose that idea. That's something that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have been championing. And so to see Gary Cohn put that up, well, that's going to put, ironically, up a wall between Trump and the bankers. The wall that he's trying to put, to bring down. So that's very interesting as well. So not everything's super awesome with the bankers, but not everything is also super awesome with the alt-right either inside the White House. So there's a lot of friction going on, and it's sort of unsustainable. And I keep saying that. Now, let me give you another quote here. Everyone left that meeting feeling good about the White House and the agenda, and then we wake up on Thursday and Gary's saying he wants to break us up. According to the executive, it could be that he sort of backed into it because it was in the Republican platform and that nothing will happen with it, but it still bothered people. That's a pretty likely scenario. Oh yeah, it's in there and it plays really well because most of the American people don't like it that the banks can right now gamble with our money. Well, they don't like that idea. So it's very popular putting up a Glass-Steagall, a 21st century Glass-Steagall. So back into it, well, it is a popular position, plays well to the American people. We're not actually going to do anything about it. And we can blame the Freedom Caucus or we can blame somebody else for it. Okay. But it is funny to see them, well, even though it might not pass, that still bothered us. Like, ooh, we don't like it when you attempt to try to even talk about regulating us. Ooh, how dare you? Ooh, oh, no. We don't like that at all. We're bothered. Sad. Look, again, I don't see anything happening, especially since all these other people are former Goldman Sachs guys. But again, that conversation seems to be happening anyway, which I guess might be a positive. Now, the executive also said it was too soon to suggest that Trump would really back away from ripping up existing trade deals or slapping tariffs on Mexico, China, or other nations the president views as unfair competitors. Trade in this administration is very complicated, and there are so many players with different agendas jockeying for position. And it's all about who Donald Trump trusts the most. And so, and also I think it has a lot to do with what these people do for Donald Trump and how it helps him. If somebody comes up with an idea that's actually popular with the American people, a policy position that Trump actually adopts, and he gets credit for it, well, then he's going to trust that advisor more. Because it's all about, to him, it's all about winning, it's all about optics. Still, corporate executives who have attended White House meetings said that they are becoming increasingly confident that Cohn, along with Kushner and senior White House advisor Dina Powell, all former Goldman Sachs executives, have for the moment at least neutralized Trump's more aggressively nationalistic advisors, including Bannon and Stephen Miller. Cohn has become Trump's preferred advisor as of late, several people say, as Bannon has faded. And some business leaders are convinced the White House will change or, quote, look totally different in 6 months, according to another business executive. So goodbye nationalist, populist Trump. Here comes establishment Trump. The new establishment starting to look a lot like the old establishment, with big businesses that are in charge, and then, of course, an increase of focus on war. In fact, one senior White House official noted the quickly executed Syria action as an example of the administration operating at a higher professional level and said it should give the outside world, including corporate America, confidence about improvements in West Wing functioning. So, again, the establishment loves war. And here's Donald Trump first attacking Syria and then dropping a 22,000 ton bomb on Afghanistan. And here's the media going, oh my God, look, he is so presidential. Look at this guy. He is now a president. He has attacked somebody. So presidential. Apparently that's the bar. That's how low the bar here is in America. And yet, until Donald Trump attacked somebody, he was not hitting that bar. Sad. Now, at there are other issues too. At a recent meeting with the New York CEOs, Cohn signaled that he would be in charge of infrastructure and tax reform, reassuring sign to these leaders, and told them the White House had much in common with Wall Street and real estate developers. He also said that the White House wouldn't impose a tax on corporate jets, including one that they flew down on. Steve Bannon, the Treasury Secretary and a former Goldman banker, is also working on taxes, along with Craig Phillips, a former BlackRock executive and a registered Democrat. Now, more than a dozen aides spent hours last week with the CEO group, which included Schwartzman and Citigroup's Michael Corbett, promising them common ground on infrastructure, tax reform, and charter schools. Several said that they were worried about meeting with Trump, who they consider is unpredictable. But Cohn told the group that there was agreement on much of their agenda, and that he was their point man. We know who Gary is, according to one executive. Now, Trump also at the meeting called the CEOs killers and my friends, which I assume killer tends to mean good. Catherine Wild headed the Partnership for New York City, a lobbying group that brought the delegation to the White House in the first place, said, it, quote, it was a reassuring meeting. They clearly consider it an important constituency. They turned out everybody. Executives say that they expect the end result to be policies more in line with Wall Street's way of thinking on immigration, infrastructure, and especially trade. Now, that last thing should worry everybody. Now, Trump killed the TPP, and I gave him credit for it. But wait, who was in favor of the TPP? Almost every large corporation in America and Wall Street. Well, they loved free trade. They loved the TPP. So here it comes, maybe in a different form with a different name, but it might be very similar. So watch out. If Donald Trump is now more in line to corporate America, to the banks, to Wall Street, then watch out. Immigration, H-1B visas for foreign workers, infrastructure projects that will make big corporations lots and lots of money. This is the stuff that Donald Trump is working for. Now, look, we know Donald Trump changes his positions on things almost like somebody changes their underwear. But my bet is that Donald Trump is going to continue to go more establishment because he was never a populist to begin with. He was always a big money billionaire that favored big business. Especially if that business happens to be his own. So, look, I mean, more establishment, right? Even the media is starting to like him, especially after those strikes in Syria. You had Brian Williams out there saying, oh my God, what a beautiful strike. Everybody's saying that he looks so much more presidential. They're now lauding him. So the media loves him now. And the establishment is starting to love him. And you know what happens when you give a narcissist praise? Well, they're going to go in that direction. They're going to do more of that. Trump is going to do more war. He's going to do more attacks. He's already sailing ships up to North Korea, saying, oh, we might do a preemptive strike on North Korea. No, that's a bad idea. That's a terrible idea. What are you doing? Well, he's going where the praise is pushing him towards, and that happens to be establishment policies and war. Come on. Who did you think you were voting for? You were voting for a con man. And you were conned if you voted for Donald Trump thinking that he was anti-establishment. And now because of this, we're going to get even more right-wing establishment positions. The only person that could have stopped this was Bernie Sanders. And of course, we've went on that topic more than enough, I would think, for you to know where I stand. Bernie Sanders should have been president right now. That's all I can say. Look, if Donald Trump really wants to be popular, he should not be going in an establishment position. No, if he wanted to be popular, he would just follow the will of the American people. Read a few polls and go, I want to do those policies. Those would include Medicare for all, breaking up the banks, taxing corporations more. Oh, that's never going to happen. Raising the minimum wage. But look, we know he's not going to do any of those things. We know. But the Democrats could. if they embraced New Deal Democrats like Bernie Sanders, Nina Turner, John Fetterman, Sam Ronan, and the entire stable of new progressives, which aren't actually new at all, they're actually just going back to the New Deal. They're going back to being original Democrats before Bill Clinton came and fucked it up. Before he turned them all into centrist corporatists. Those were who progressives were. That's who the Democratic Party used to be. And we're not like that. If they turn and embrace what being a Democrat really was supposed to be, or if we're successful at ousting those who are not real Democrats. Progressives are the real Democrats. So if we kick out all the neoliberals and take over the party, well, that we could do these policies and we could actually win because we have the American people on our side. And they do not. And the Republicans do not. Look, the conditions that allowed Trump to win under Trump are not going to change. They're just not going to change. Progressives have a wonderful opportunity to regain power in order to, and then to enact real change. They're the only ones that can do that. And we're the only ones that can help them. So if you do want real change, then get the neoliberals out and get real progressives in. And I can almost guarantee that we could win and retake the government. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.